We talk a lot about finding your passion, following your dreams, doing what you love. But what happens when the thing you've dedicated your entire life to, the thing you've sacrificed everything for, suddenly becomes impossible? What do you do when the path you've been on since you were just 3 years old just ends? I sat down with Annelise Senkowski, and honestly, her story is absolutely wild. She's been a professional ballet dancer, a Tai Chi instructor, a fitness coach, a microbiology researcher, and now she's into medical device sales, working in the lung cancer space. And that's how we met. And all of those things, they're connected in ways you wouldn't expect. We got into what it's really like training for ballet, and I'm talking about the brutal side of it. The weighings twice a year, the report cards on your appearance, being told at 13 that if you want to be serious about ballet, you need to give up every other thing in your life. She left home at 14 to go to boarding school in North Carolina, training from 3:45 to 10 p.m. every single night. And that was on top of regular school. She talks about how she applied to medical school, got in, but then the pandemic hit and derailed everything, both her med school plans and her dream of dancing professionally in Australia. So she pivoted. She moved to Chicago, taught Tai Chi full time over Zoom for a year and a half, and eventually found her way into medical device sales. And now she's doing work she genuinely and actually loves. And that's in, again, the lung cancer space. We talked a lot about how dance is basically precision and breaking rules with intention, how that translates to medicine and procedures in the operating room, why lung cancer kills more people than breast, colon, and prostate cancer combined, but gets way less attention, and why she measures success by how big her garden is. But what really stuck with me was this idea that when you dedicate yourself to something so intensely, whether it's ballet, medicine, or anything else, you lose other parts of yourself. And sometimes the best thing that can happen is when those plans fall apart, because that's when you get to rebuild and figure out who you actually are. If any of this resonates, if you've ever had to reinvent yourself, if you're curious about the hidden world of ballet, or if you just want to hear about someone who's navigated a completely non-traditional path and someone who made it all work, you're going to want to hear this episode. You can catch the full episode on YouTube or pull it up wherever you listen to your podcast. Search The Last Zebra. Let's get into it.
The idea and embodiment of expression without using words is very comforting. Part of the reason why it's like, I'm so glad that you exist and you're creating this platform so that you're educating the community on lung cancer. Like, you're part of the change. From a very young age, I was determined to be like very committed to dance. I started when I was 3, and then when maybe I'm like 6, I'm literally fixing every single person in line. There's something in me that feels very connected to it. I'm very much an internal processor. Like, if something happens, I'm not gonna say anything until my thoughts are fully formed. Once I feel like I have to put words to something, I think it makes it like permanent. And with dance, at least, it's like you don't really need to have it figured out. In the moment you're expressing it, you can just express how you're feeling.
Welcome back to another episode of the Last Zebra podcast. I'm your host, Ugo Ezema. As always, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. I have the awesome honor of having a dear friend now, Annelise Senkowski. Am I saying your last name right?
Perfectly.
Perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
How did we meet, Annelise?
Well,
how do we know each other?
Originally from the hospital, I was your robotic sales rep.
Robotic sales rep, that's lung biopsies with navigation bronchoscopy.
Correct.
And we just started that a couple years ago for lung nodules. How did you get into that? Long story.
Well, it makes me think about how I got into medical device sales in general.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my path to it has been pretty non-traditional, given I spent so much time seriously studying ballet and contemporary dance, and then I just
Pivoted.
yeah, one thing led to another, and I found myself at a point where, hey, I'm like, I need health insurance.
That's real.
For real. I was like, I really need health insurance. But, outside of that, I studied microbiology in college as well. I was always in a research lab. My dad's a surgeon. My mom's a nurse. So part of me always wanted to be in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So not only wanting insurance, but wanting to be in the hospital and also not wanting to take out any student loans informed my decision to get into medical device sales. So
you mentioned, and I can't ignore obviously the background in ballet. You mentioned that from the very beginning. Let's start from the very beginning.
From the top?
From very top. Where are
Okay.
you from?
Originally, Savannah, Georgia.
Shout out to Savannah. I have a dear affection for Savannah. Have I told you this before? I think I told
No.
you this. One of my dear friends, we went to fellowship together. Osman, shout out to Osman and Gabby, his wife, and they have two adorable twins that are mine and my wife's godchildren, Ava and Ezra, and they live in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh my gosh.
He's a palm crip, but he only does intensivist. So he's supposed to be on the podcast soon, and we're supposed to go over there to visit.
You got to go.
I love Savannah. We go to Savannah once a year at least.
Okay, good.
We literally go to
Great.
Savannah once a year. What's the name of that campus? The
SCAD.
SCAD, which is basically like all of Savannah is SCAD, essentially.
I want to say like maybe 7-10 years ago, there's a huge like reinvestment into the school, and it really transformed the city. Like it brought in so many more people, so many more like types of food, so many different like pockets of downtown where it used to be like just Broughton Street, like that main strip, and then all the historic squares, and then that was kind of it. So I'm delighted to see how the arts have transformed that city.
It's a gorgeous city. It's a beautiful city. It's well preserved. So much of what's there, it's like traveling back in time. And they have like these little tours that you go through the squares, like you mentioned. And so we've done that a couple of times. And then we went to what's by the port, by the water.
They just Riverside.
The Riverside, yeah. The Riverside. We go by the Riverside quite often, and we always get like the drinks and it's not wine, whatever else you make from something else. There's something there's a nice little store out there that we got some really good drinks from there.
Now, were you going to like River Street with the cobblestones original?
Yes.
Or were you going to Plant Riverside, like the new development that's kind of...
It was River Street.
Okay.
Where you can look across to
Cool.
Yeah. I love Savannah. Savannah's we should be going there probably soon, in a couple weeks.
Good.
To go visit the twins.
I'll give you my short list of restaurants you must go to.
I cannot wait. What was it like growing up in Savannah? Daughter of a surgeon and a nurse.
Correct. So I feel like when I grew up there, it was definitely different from how it is now. My mom's from the Philippines. There was not a lot of immigrant families there. Now, my dad's from Michigan, so like it all evens out, sure. But at the same time, my mom like really held down the fort and was always with the kids, making sure that we got wherever. So like she was the one who was always interfacing with our school and pickups and drop-offs and everything else. And my feedback is that the community could have been a bit more open to other ways of life. But, we found our pocket there. We stayed busy, and I'm trying to think of other ways to describe Savannah in growing up there. Definitely like small town mentality.
It is a small town. Even compared, because I consider New Orleans a small city, and Savannah is probably growing into a proper city, but it still gives me that very like a town vibe. So it definitely still gives me that vibe. You said you have siblings?
I do.
How many?
I'm the oldest of 3.
Mm-hmm.
So oldest sister, and then I've got my brother who's in the middle, and then my sister who's the youngest.
Your brothers and your sisters. Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Wow. How far apart are y'all?
2 years between my brother and I, and 7 years between me and my sister.
Any of them in medicine?
No.
So not a one of y'all went into
No,
medicine.
it was supposed to be me. And I'm disappointed.
Why do you think that is? I feel like somebody always caves.
And goes into medicine?
And goes into medicine.
I don't know. I mean,
especially children of immigrants.
Yeah.
Somebody usually always caves and goes into, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be medicine, but the traditional kids of immigrant jobs, doctor, lawyer, engineer, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, like do the whole advanced schooling and take the stable route. Really, like I was really committed to doing that up until I got my MCAT score back and applied to medical school. And I'm so sorry, mom and dad.
So you did apply.
I did the whole thing. I got into med school. I only got into one at the time though. And it was when COVID hit. So COVID hit. And then I got responses back from med schools. My dream school I got waitlisted for. And then I got into one other school, but where it was located and the price point and like the vibe of the campus, I just had this like really deep inner feeling that made me feel really sick. And I was like, I can't go. So I'm sure you could imagine my parents' reaction when I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to move to Chicago and try to dance and cobble together a bunch of fitness part-time jobs and make it work because I'm not going to med school. Anyway, we're getting off the topic of my siblings. My brother, I feel like he's doing something that's, not doctor or lawyer, but equally impressive and like modern. He's in like tech consulting.
Oh, that's very modern.
He's in Chicago. He's doing his thing. I always joke. I'm like, I don't know what consultants do, but I'm proud of you.
No one does. Yeah. I don't even think consultants know what they do.
Yeah. And then my sister's working in the arts in New York.
Nice. An extension of Savannah's influence maybe, or living in Savannah or in that time, do you think?
I think it was really just dance.
Like, so you both danced?
Me and my sister both danced.
Wow. Mm-hmm. How long have y'all been dancing? Like since childhood?
Oh man. Yeah. I don't have memories without dance.
None.
Not one.
Well, and your sister is the youngest of y'all. So she grew up watching you. Mm-hmm. At least. And what's the gap between y'all?
7
years. Wow.
Yeah. So she just followed suit. She's like, she dances, I'm dancing. And then, I had the privilege of being her teacher for a couple years, and that was really funny and awesome for our relationship as sisters. Yeah. I'm sure she would tell a different story.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, what got you into dancing? Was it, because initially maybe your parents got you to do a couple dance classes, but what made you keep doing it?
So I started when I was 3, and it was just regular baby ballet stuff. And then I remember watching this video of myself when maybe I'm like 6, and it was like an in-studio performance, and it's all the little girls wearing tutus and we're acting like circus elephants or whatever. And there's I'm literally fixing every single person in line. I'm telling them what to do. I'm like, you're late. You need to be better. I'm like, I'm 6. So, and I didn't know that footage existed until my parents dug it out maybe like a year or 2 years ago. But I feel like from a very young age, I was determined to be very committed to dance. There's something in me that feels very connected to it.
What do you think that is?
I think the idea and embodiment of expression without using words is very comforting. Once I feel like I have to put words to something, I think it makes it permanent, and that all of my thoughts need to be perfect around it. that even like applies to how I process things. Like I'm very much an internal processor. Like if something happens, don't ask me about it for 2 weeks because I'm not going to say anything until my thoughts are fully formed and I've done all of the work, because I just feel like something about words is more permanent. Maybe that's something I need to work through. But with dance, at least, it's like you don't really need to have it figured out in the moment you're expressing it. You can just express how you're feeling.
I love that. I think, especially in today's world where so much emphasis is, and this is in part because of social media, right? Because of our attention span and the effects of that's having on society and individually psychologically. I think we have a false sense of what reality can be. And in a way, because of that expectation, so people have a social media expectation on reality. And so that in turn informs how we interact with each other, right? So you wouldn't say things unless you felt completely comfortable and safe. Most people wouldn't say certain things because they want it to be packaged in a way that is well received. And thinking about dance as a way of expressing yourself without conforming to the need for prepackaging is an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah. I feel like that's obviously like more evolved. I wasn't thinking that when I was, a little kid or anything, but I know that when I was a little kid, something about being dedicated just got me up in the morning. Like I find that very motivating. I could consistently show up to this space with respect for this art form in mind, respect for myself in mind, and just like train towards, I mean, honestly, unattainable standards, but something about that really keeps you going.
What were your highest dreams and hopes in dance?
My highest dreams and hopes, I feel like changed over time. In high school, I really dreamed of being part of like a classical repertory ballet company and like dancing story ballets and doing the whole 9 yards, starting in the corps de ballet and working my way up to a soloist. Like I never really saw myself as a principal, but principal being like the main prima ballerina.
You never saw yourself that way?
Not really, just because I wasn't always cast in those roles. So I like very comfortable with core level roles and like where I was, and like soloist level roles, but was never like, hey, you're going to do the big pas de deux and it's just going to be you two on stage and you've got a variation that's a solo and you've got a coda. Like that was never me. But then once I got injured in high school, I just saw like how quickly my teachers treated me different. And that kind of changed my dance dream into leaning more towards contemporary. Contemporary dance is like honestly hard to define. I feel like for me personally, and the style that I enjoy and was moving towards is definitely very rooted in ballet. But then you get to a point where you're so technically proficient that you can break all the rules, but you know what rules you're breaking. It's intentional. And it's a lot more humanistic. It's a lot more free form. It's way less tense. It's way less like codified. So I was really drawn to that. One, because it was very freeing, and two, because those companies wanted dancers to like be educated, not just come straight from high school when you're 18 or 17 and make it work. Of course, I pursued that, had a bunch of auditions lined up, and then COVID hit. So like dream of all dreams that I was like so painfully close to was dancing in Australia.
Where in Australia? Is that a thing? Dancing in Australia?
Yeah.
In the dance community, dancing in Australia is a thing?
The arts are so much more well respected and well endowed and anywhere else other than America. So when I'm like, when I was at the stage where I'm applying to auditions and whatever, it was like, okay, we'll hit the major metro areas in the United States, but let's look at Europe, let's look at Australia, let's look at other countries that like really respect and support dance. And I was like getting all my plans together to go to Australia to go to this final cut audition. And then COVID hit.
I'm sure that was devastating.
It sucked for sure. But also, like, I'm really happy with the direction of my life now. And had I gone that way, like, I don't know that my life would be the same.
I mean, Australia's on the other side of the world.
I know.
That is, I mean, not to say, not to even mention that part, but your trajectory is, it's not even a Y junction. It's completely different.
Completely different.
Wow. I know we've been saying dance, but dance sounds very generic. And you mentioned ballet and contemporary dance. What would you say is your favorite type, and how have you been able to still express it now that you're no longer, at least, taking dance as a profession or thinking of it as a would you even say career? I respect, like, is that how, with a dancer, professional dancer, that's a career.
Definitely a career.
Yeah.
I would claim that to an extent, but for right now, and my relationship to it is like definitely a hobby. Just because, like, so many of my friends are dancers and they're out there working their butts off with multiple other streams of income and multiple other jobs, just because, again, like, the arts are not super well endowed here. So, like, that is a professional dancer, and, like, I respect that hustle so much. So for me to, like, claim that now feels a little wrong. Definitely more of, like, a serious hobby. But types of dance that I really like, this has also evolved, and it's been fun to self-reflect on that. I am having a return to ballet, which is interesting because for a while I completely and totally rejected it.
Why? Because
it hurt me in so many ways.
It's funny you say it hurt, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I have and correct me if I'm wrong, and I think you will. I have a preconceived notion, more likely a misunderstanding, based on a very superficial, and I'll admit that, a very superficial, amount of data on what ballet is like. But it sounds like, or at least from what I've seen, movies like Black Swan, that is ballet, right? Mm-hmm. It sounds like the culture of ballet does hurt and is very painful. And I don't know if that's true, but that's my impression of it. Is that consistent with the reality of what it takes to be in ballet?
Definitely.
Wow.
It's super brutal.
Wow. Physically and emotionally.
Physically, emotionally, mentally. It's super, super just like brutal and taxing in so many ways. But when you get on stage and you're with your friends and the lights are up and you're freely expressing yourself to live music, like that's not a feeling that can really be recreated in any other environment.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, it's the training behind it, the work that goes into it, the certain dynamics you have to deal with, the way that teachers acted when I was getting brought up in ballet, I think is very different now, and thank God it is. But
what's the difference? What's that difference in the way the teachers behaved versus now? So if you had a daughter then and a daughter now, would you encourage her or son to go into ballet, knowing what you know about it, then or now?
After interviews with the teacher, perhaps. I think it would need to be the right teacher and it would need to be the right studio for me to agree. I say that now, but also, like, if I had a child and they're like, Mom, all I want to do is dance, I'd be like, of course, you can do whatever you want, but Mom's got your back. Right. I'm going back to your question about what dance I like the best. Having a return to ballet, but I love contemporary dance. I think there's a lot of really, really exciting and new things happening in that space. And then funny enough, since I've come to New Orleans, there's this like hip hop studio out in Metairie that like a bunch of like ex-Pelicans dancers teach at. They bring in masterclass artists and things. Like I just took a masterclass with SZA and Doja Cat's choreographer.
What was that?
Am
like?
I trained in hip hop? Like absolutely not. But the room was so fun and the energy was incredible. And that style of dance was always super taboo for me growing up. So in a way, I'm having this like return to ballet and like inner child healing, branching out into like hip hop and other forms of like taboo styles has been like inner teenager healing. You know what I mean?
It's something that felt forbidden for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, well, you're not going to do that. That's going to go against your ballet training.
Wow.
Why would you train in a different style? Like, and it goes beyond that too. It's like, if you want to do ballet seriously, you need to give up all the instruments you play. You can't play sports anymore. Like every free second of time you have needs to be dedicated to this.
Wow. How young are you hearing things like that? How young are young ballet dancers hearing something that focused, that exclusive? It's not even exclusive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like how young are they hearing this?
13.
Wow.
Maybe younger.
You should 100% be doing as much as possible in those at that age.
I know.
What did you give up?
Oh my gosh. I gave up violin. I gave up, I always like went to art class. I definitely gave up art classes. I gave up a lot of time with friends. I gave up a lot of time with family. I gave up like soccer and running and like more athletic pursuits. And just went full blown ballet for a long time.
And the pandemic broke that.
I feel like in college, I definitely branched off a bit because, so let me work back a little bit more. I left home to go pursue ballet full time when I was 14. So from the ages of 14 to 18, I did not live in Savannah. I lived at boarding school in North Carolina.
You went to boarding
Carolina
school?
School of the Arts. Yeah.
I went to boarding school.
You did?
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Yeah, in Jamaica. In Jamaica.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I went to boarding school.
Okay, we need to have a sidebar about that.
Yeah, Monroe. Let's have it now.
Okay, great. What was that like?
I love boarding school. At the time, especially at the beginning, it was like, it was really challenging. I left when I was 10. So started going to boarding school when I was 10. I find tremendous value in boarding school. I think that, of course, I understand why people are against it, especially here. But in other parts of the world, boarding school is very common. Even in Jamaica, it's not as common as it used to be, because I don't even think there are probably only 2 all boys boarding school in Jamaica now. In Nigeria, my parents' regular school is boarding school, right? So I don't think they ever envisioned us not going to boarding school. So even when we moved to Jamaica,
that was the plan.
The plan was for us to go to the boarding school. There's another one, but the big one, Monroe College. Everybody knows where Monroe College is. Every Jamaican knows Monroe College. But that was always the plan for us. It was difficult like that first year. So it's what is the equivalent of 7th grade here is when we start going. And it was, that first year was tough. But looking back, absolutely. I threatened my wife that I would 100% send our kids to boarding school. 1,000%. I have no doubts in my mind that if she ever gave me an inch to send them to boarding school, they're gone. But I know that she would never allow that. I think it's tremendously valuable. A lot of things happen in boarding school. You learn to be by yourself, which is important. You learn to stand up for yourself, which is very important. You learn a lot of you learn about yourself. You learn what you're really made of. You see all kinds of, and interact with, granted, it was an all boys boarding school, and boys are very different, especially en masse. Like they behave in, I can speak to that. That's what I can speak to. they behave in very chaotic ways at times. Like the things that that I endured
I'm sure.
in boarding school were absolutely wild. But I think I'm the better for it. I really, really, really think so. The other thing that I don't think enough people talk about is what it might do for your parents. So parents, in that if your kids are to boarding school, parents get to be each other again, because kids do take away a lot. I think from, you have to be present for your child, obviously, but I think if you have the option, if boarding school is something that you really want to do, I think parents can get to kind of find themselves again in whatever space boarding school creates when the kids are or the kid is gone. Now that's a very selfish way to look at it, but it's strong. I think that's a good positive in that end. And most boarding schools tend to be well structured. I'm sure they don't just build boarding schools for the sake of building boarding schools. And I understand there's a stigma to boarding schools here. They're either very specialist schools, or they are where you send, quote unquote,
like
troubled children. So I'm 100% pro boarding school. I really, after a while, once I got into the groove, I understood what my role was. I understood who I was, what I'm trying to accomplish. School, and because it's so structured, it's very structured, and I thrive in structure. This is something I learned later on as an adult, but I thrive in structure. That structure was perfect for me. I knew where I needed to be at all times. I just thrived in it. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
So I really, really enjoyed boarding school. I really did. What was your experience for boarding school? How do you feel about boarding school?
There's parts of it that I really, really, really enjoyed. And there was parts of it where I look back and I'm like, damn, that was not okay. Like there are some things about boarding school that were not okay. Focusing on the positives first, the sense of community there and the friends that I made there, like I will have for life. All of us were, and it wasn't just ballet. So there was ballet students, there was contemporary students, there was visual artists, musicians of all types, actors, singers.
Is that what this school is for? Is it a artists kind of school?
Yep.
Wow.
It's like it was an add-on to the UNC system. So there's University of North Carolina School of the Arts, the college program, and then we were part of like this little high school add-on that took advantage of all the college arts resources on campus. But we were just a high school program.
Oh wow.
But our schedule was like, hey, you're going to do the bare minimum amount of school to get like the state requirements. Obviously, like there's AP classes and stuff too that you could rotate into and take, but like we only did 4 or 5 hours of school every day. Like academic school, like what you think about as high school. But like I would start the day with 2 hours of ballet, then go to 2 hours of school, then have a 30-minute lunch, then go back to school for 2 hours. Then from 3:45 to 10 p.m., you're dedicated to your art.
And you were 14?
Yeah.
How does a 14-year-old know that they love ballet this much to want to endure that? That's a lot.
Yeah. For multiple summers before I was 14, I would leave Savannah to go get training in a bigger city. And it was like all of these summer experiences, I learned so much. And I understood that like, wow, what I had in Savannah was enough for me to keep up my skills and stay fit and stay up to date. It wasn't enough for me to really advance myself to stay competitive with other people my age. So when I was 14, I was like, if this is something I'm really serious about and something I want to do professionally, like this is my only shot at doing that.
And at the time, that was definitely something that you really wanted to lean into.
Really wanted to do that. And, for summers prior, there had been like invitations from those specific schools to stay full time. But what they didn't have was a school program. It was essentially like, all right, you're going to live in forgive me, like a Russian basement in the middle of DC. It's the Kirov Academy of Ballet. And you're not going to get any schooling, but you're going to be one heck of a ballerina. I was like, okay, well, I want that, but I also want to be educated, and like have my high school diploma under my belt and like have the option to go to college if I wanted to. But I just figured like I'm not real. Like I think I know now, but until I dedicate myself to this full time, I'm not going to know. So let's try it. Let's run the experiment and see if it's something I still love. And I stayed for all 4 years. So I loved it. Again, like my friends there were incredible. A select few amount of teachers were amazing on the ballet side, but there was also some like just incredibly traumatic experiences, you know? We got weighed in twice a year.
Whoa.
Weighed in, and then they had this like literally a tool from what looked like the 1950s to measure your BMI. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, why are you pinching me? So they'd pinch you and get your BMI, and like we know there's so many other ways to get BMI now. It's like, again, ridiculous that they're using that tool. But if they weren't satisfied with your body composition and where you were at, you would get sent to a nutritionist. And if you didn't comply with the nutritionist plan, then that would negatively impact how you were casted in shows.
And these were intra-school shows, intramural shows. Wow.
There was also like report cards implemented about like your appearance in class. So you need to have like really tidy hair. You need to wear makeup every day. You can't show any emotion. You need to have a certain type of leotard. You need a certain type of tights. You need to have clean shoes. Your behavior, the way that you accept feedback, like how many times you've yawned in class, that's something they're taking note of.
Did you say yawned?
Yeah. How many times you look at the clock, they're taking note of that. So it's like, it was a very clinical environment to be trained in, to do something expressive and beautiful, which is like such a strange dichotomy that needs to be studied.
I wonder what percentage of people that go through that end up actually being, you know, professionals in those. Like, what percentage of the graduates of said high school turn out to be professionals in their fields?
I think it depends on the discipline. Like the maybe like 10%. 15%, 15 at best.
Which I think is damning, to say that you went to school for this and only about 10 to 15% do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this is a crass analogy or a crass comparison, but if 15% of people graduated from medical school, but you went to be a doctor, that would be problematic for any medical school.
Right. Right. Yeah. I want to say like that just comes from there not being a whole lot of opportunities out there.
That's true. Especially, and you pointed that out, this country isn't, the arts aren't favored, at least not financially, in a way that is meaningful enough to sustain a quality of life, if you will. Right.
Yeah. Like there's not a huge economy behind it. But also I think if I'm really thinking about like classical repertory, like touring companies. I think that social media has opened up a lot of different avenues for dance. The way that music artists collaborate with dancers now is like definitely like revolutionary. Like they're doing more concept videos that are just not twerking all the time. It's something else.
It's a new avenue.
Yeah. So I think that there's growth, but like it is definitely competitive and not a super like financially stable or rewarding path to take.
Right. For most people, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What was that conversation like for you at 12, 13, even 14, with your parents saying that this is what you wanted to do? Were they very supportive in the way that really encouraged you to pursue this. That's awesome.
Yeah, very supportive.
That's amazing.
Yeah, with the caveat that I studied and got like good grades in school, so that, because like college was definitely a non-negotiable.
So, okay, so you were for sure going to go to college no matter what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what was that transition? Because you did biomedical sciences in college, is that right?
Close.
Oh,
Microbiology.
Microbiology.
Mm-hmm.
So dance, how did you then, that's a,
I know.
how did that happen? How did you get to microbiology?
So when I was applying to colleges, there was very few universities that would let you dual enroll in two schools. Most places wanted you to go 100% conservatory.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing the arts thing, you're committed to that, or go 100% liberal arts. Like you're getting a BA, you're getting a BS, you're getting a whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, well, I'm looking for a school that allows me to do both. And Michigan was the only school that would, they weren't like, you're not necessarily like going to be super supportive because this isn't normal, but we'll let you do it.
This is Michigan Wolverines?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Ann Arbor.
Ann Arbor.
But they're like, yeah, we'll let you do it. So I was like, all right, I know that I want to do dance. I'm not sure what else I want to do as my other degree, but I'm going to do all the pre-med requirements. So what, set of majors supports all of the pre-medical requirements? Chemistry was not going to be it for me. Chemistry is not my thing. Physics was also not my thing. Engineering's not my thing. When I started taking biology classes, I was like, okay, I like this. This is making a little more sense. But the macro, evolution stuff still for me was very this sounds stupid to say, but esoteric and what am I even memorizing versus thinking very granularly about cell function. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So I just ended up majoring in that because the advanced electives I had to take, like the microbiology ones, were ones I would survive, essentially.
Would you make any connection between dance and the biological sciences? Because they do feel like two very separate worlds. And having lived and experienced and worked to some capacity in both of them, what kind of connections would you say do those two share?
Mm-hmm. I think that what I really admire about science is its exactness and first order, first principles type of thinking. And I think that those are things that also exist in dance, or at least in the kind of dance that I really appreciate, is exactness, precision, lines, being very detailed, and a dancer or a choreographer knowing all the rules but also knowing when to break them because it's very calculated. And then first principles thinking is the type of dance that makes sense to me is something with a very clear theme or a very clear base emotion from which everything else is growing out of, instead of there's kind of this new genre of dance that's approaching that's kind of it's not technical, it's not anything. I'd find it very hard to connect with because it's what's happening.
Is that interpretive? Is that the same thing?
Interpretive or performance art. It's performance art that can't really be categorized.
Got you.
And that no hate, it's not for me. But the type of dance that I love is definitely kind of draws from those principles that science has.
You like the technicality.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to say. There's something to be said about the precision of obviously biology, the precision of all of the sciences in general. But it's interesting and now that you said it, I can't unsee dance as a very precise thing. At least the dance that we're talking about, that when you watch ballet, you know that it's a purposeful movement. It's again, going back to what I understand of a culture, the culture of precision, the culture of perfection, if you will, and how that kind of manifests itself in the dance itself.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to take any part of your experience in dance and explore that in the biological sciences, whether it be, I know we spoke about the precision, but whether it be like the way you approach dance, did that help you in any way, shape, or form? In college, studying for biology or molecular?
At that time, no. But like the parallel that I do draw from that to the sciences is like what you do in the hospital is procedures. Like I really see the OR as parallel to the stage because the lights go down, certain lights come up, and you're performing a series of steps procedure to get a certain outcome. And like that to me, like that to me is like very synergistic, very different use cases, but a very similar like feeling.
That's an interesting way to put it. They do say you perform surgery. That's an interesting. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I think think about it. OR lights go down. All like maybe you have a couple spotlights so people can see. You've got your like scopes. You've got the two screens, and you do the same thing every time.
That's true. At least you try to, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then sticking to your training. That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
So I'm a dancer.
Correct.
I'm a pulmonary dancer.
Well, you play good music in there too. So
I do.
You're definitely a pulmonary dancer.
My OR playlist is top notch. Top notch. All right. So then we come up to consideration for medical school.
Yes.
So are you easing away from dance here, or were you hoping for a medical school that also does dance?
I was doing both. So I was like, all right, everybody pray for Annelise because she is applying to all of these dance programs and she's applying to medical school. And I was thinking like, well, if the right ballet company gives me, or if the right contemporary company gives me the right thing, then I can defer medical school. I could divert for 2 years. I could go on my journey, but I could also know that I have the next step planned. Like in a perfect world, I could do both. I could make both of my parents' dreams come true, right?
Both of them?
Yeah. I feel like my mom, and they'll correct me if I'm wrong, but my mom was like very, very invested in myself and my sister becoming dancers.
Really?
And I feel like my dad was definitely more focused on like continuing the Dr. Senkowski legacy.
Do you think was he forceful is not the right word. Do you feel like he was pushing you towards that route? I know he would have continued the Dr. Senkowski legacy, but was he it's not forceful, but you know what I mean. Was he kind of like pushing you? He
definitely influenced me.
That's the word.
He definitely influenced me. He was also just like, Annelise, you're like the worst at taking orders from people. Like you need to be the person that's controlling the room and whatever. And like for him, like that means being a surgeon. Now I also recognize like with me and my brother and my sister doing all these different things, it's like really shown my dad that you can have a really different type of professional life that's very successful. But he was just so dedicated to trauma surgery and like that's really his circle that he didn't like really consider what other paths could look like. So I do think he was guiding me with the like his concept of success.
So you're coming up on these two decisions. You've applied to dance schools, you've applied to medical schools. You got into one, but COVID.
Yeah, so plan A and plan B went out the window real quick.
Was this the Sydney, potential, not Sydney, but Australia Junction? This was also around the Australia Junction. So, what was that like? What was navigating that entire process like? Especially like you said, both options were off the table, at least temporarily at the time. We didn't even know actually We didn't know at the time.
We had no idea.
We had no idea. It was off the table.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly am surprised there wasn't more of like an emotional or like grieving process around that. I was just very like focused on what's next.
And you had already been out of the house anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You had been out of the house for a very long time.
Yeah.
So you've been by yourself. So it's not like you needed to adjust to that kind of reality.
Mm-mm.
What'd you do?
So Ann Arbor, Michigan, the nearest city is Chicago. And I was like,
That's how
let's
you
go
get
to Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah. So
Was your brother there already?
He was not.
Okay.
So I started it there. And you know, in college, since I had my dance background, I was always trying to make extra money on the side. So I was a fitness instructor for a while. And I was like, all right, well, there's got to be some fitness openings in Chicago. And all right, what does the rent look like? Okay, I need to make this much money. How my grocery bill is this? Okay. I need to be making at least this much. So I need to find this many part-time fitness jobs at this rate to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. One of those jobs was working for a Tai Chi studio.
Tai Chi.
Mm-hmm. And so I go with this plan that I'm gonna be a part-time boxing instructor, a part-time lifting instructor, and a part-time Tai Chi instructor. Now the Tai Chi piece, the owner of that studio said, like, if you do really well, there's definitely ways we could make you full-time. So let's just see how it goes. And I'm like, all right, it's COVID. Everything's on Zoom anyway. I don't know what's happening. Nobody knows what's happening, but this sounds like a fun journey, like a little side road take for now. And probably doing something as peaceful and calming as Tai Chi isn't the worst thing to do during a pandemic.
Had you done Tai Chi prior to this?
No.
Oh, wow.
I convinced him I would learn it like a dance because I'm a professional. And I did.
Now, so there's Tai Chi, boxing, fitness. Had you done these in any meaningful way prior? Obviously not Tai Chi, you mentioned boxing.
Boxing, I had a short time on the Michigan boxing team.
What?
Yeah.
What?
A short time on the Michigan boxing team. I'll tell you why it was short.
Tell me.
So there was weeks of like tryouts. I made it through the tryouts, and then this was like one of our first couple practices. They're like, all right, no wraps, no gloves, we're sparring. And I was like,
without?
Hang on. I don't have wraps on. I don't have gloves on. Why are we sparring? They're like, well, no, it's like a no touch drill. I'm like, but we're throwing punches at each other. And this girl that is my partner is like a foot taller than me.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, all right, whatever. So we punch each other.
But you're not supposed to punch each other.
But it's like nobody, like this is somebody that had no spatial awareness. Like this is her first time being like in a contact sport. Like she was a runner. So she's like individual pursuit. Now, like for me, dancing can be very individual, but you're also moving in a group all the time on stage. So like I'm very aware of where people are and how much distance I have. Not her case. So we punch each other when it's my turn and instantly breaks my hand. Instantly broke this hand. And this was I write with this hand. This is my dominant hand. This is the hand that's doing my microbiology thesis at the time. My PI was so mad. Cause like, I can't put my hands in a hood and pipette anything at that point. I'm toast. So I like have to move my thesis project to a horrible genetics thing. Horrible. But yeah, that was my boxing stint. And then fitness, I had taught like rowing and strength training out of a studio like downtown.
Oh, wow. What in the middle of the pandemic, was all of this in the middle of the pandemic?
No.
Okay. So,
No.
But in the middle of the pandemic, you were doing the Tai Chi over Zoom?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tai Chi full-time over Zoom.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So you did end up getting a full-time gig?
I did end up getting the full-time gig. I did that for like a year and a half.
So, and were you doing all of these things at the same time, even when you're doing the full-time with Tai Chi? Were you doing
No.
Okay. So
No.
then the boxing training was...
I let that go.
Oh, okay.
Once Tai Chi was like, we're going to make you full-time, I was like, great. I'm going to let go of lifting instruction. I'm going to let go of boxing instruction. Like, I'm just going to do Tai Chi.
And you did that for almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Was it hard to learn?
I feel like the choreography itself was not hard to learn, but so many of the skills and practices that inform it were very hard to learn.
Because it's self-defense, right?
Like, in a sense, yes. But I also think, like, if you were to do Tai Chi against somebody in the street, like,
It wouldn't
you'd get
work?
your butt kicked, you know? I think it helps you develop, like, a really strong base and foundation and, like, body awareness.
Mhm.
But it's like a soft martial art. So it's more of like on the recovery side of things and maybe defense side of things versus offense.
So that's an entire lifetime there. How did you then get into medical sales?
So, and this gets back to where we started, where I, was 2 years into Tai Chi. I'm coming up on where I'm going to lose my health insurance. I'm like, well, heck, I need health insurance. And also, why aren't I working in the hospital? I kind of want to be in the hospital. And I don't want student loans. So my dad connected me with a mentor who's mentored me through really my medical device sales career.
Right.
But yeah, I got started in medical device sales in Chicago and then took a promotion and moved down to New Orleans.
So your first gig was with the robots?
No, my first gig was with a different company called Becton Dickinson.
What was your thing?
I was selling like stainless steel surgical instruments and laparoscopic instruments.
What was that like?
It was funny. It was funny. It was a very different type of selling. Like, so much time I spent in like sterile processing.
Right.
And got really close to people in sterile processing, which is like any sterile processing department at the hospital is just a chronic shit show. And it's not their fault. They get blamed for everything too, which it just like stinks.
Right.
But yeah, not the most like positive work environment to be in all the time. So those are also some folks I have some serious respect for. Because their job is really important and it often goes overlooked in terms of like the overall function of a hospital. But it was, time at SPD, time with OR directors, keeping contracts on the tracks with different members of hospital administration. Honestly, like, I got really bored
doing that.
Yeah, I got really bored and I didn't feel like I had a lot of purpose in that. And that company or that business unit got sold to a different company. And that informed my exit.
Gotcha.
And then that created the opening for robotics.
In the time that we've known each other, which is the better part of almost 2 years now, I think. Yeah, almost 2 years. When we first thought about or were thinking about doing advanced bronchoscopies and using the robot for lung nodules, you've struck me as someone that is, at least when we met, and this has been true all the way across up until now, who's very passionate about now lung cancer and diagnosing lung cancer. And where did that come from?
So in my training for that job, I learned about so much data on lung cancer. And I was like, how do I like get up every day and swallow this pill without trying to fix it? Like the fact that it kills more people than breast, colon, and prostate cancer combined is a ridiculous number. The fact that, there's so many layers to it. Like, I just feel like historically too, like health systems have really not prioritized it. And it even goes for industry, like industry didn't prioritize innovating in that space because if you get diagnosed with lung cancer, you're dead. And that's not true anymore. And it doesn't need to continue to be true.
I do think there's a lot of stigma attached to lung cancer versus a lot of other cancers. And cancer in general is it goes without saying, it's just the way anyone processes having it, I can't even imagine. the stigma that's attached to lung cancer is that there's an association usually with smoking. And I think my theory is that people subconsciously and society by extension blames the person for their lung cancer. Like it's your fault, you know. And that has led to, I think, the lack of attention that it gets when it is the primary cancer, where mortality is concerned. So obviously I'm a pulmonologist. I have my own biases. I help diagnose it as well. I'm truly flabbergasted at the lack of awareness on lung cancer in the United States, certainly here in the South. And I really do wish more people had a good grasp of how truly wild lung cancer is and how it's actually ravaging a lot of communities and families. So I think, and then going back to your passion, I think when a lot of your presentations, at least when you were trying to convince us to get the robot, was centered around the data around lung cancer and how it's underdiagnosed, and when it is diagnosed, it is diagnosed too late. And I strongly believe, and I say this maybe once a week, that I think we functionally as a society have a cure for cancer, and it's early diagnosis. And that's what the benefit of the robot is, right? So we're able to biopsy smaller nodules at a time where the cure rate is much more successful.
100%. Well, that's part of the reason why it's like, I'm so glad that you exist and you're creating this platform so that you're educating the community on lung cancer. Like, you're part of the change in a really meaningful way.
That's the hope. That's the hope. I do want to find, I need to find a way to, because I don't want to be I don't want to be talking on a soapbox about this in a way that is, I want to find a good way to make it like good for the general public to actually digest and understand what it is. Again, I'm becoming very passionate about it. It's something that is growing in me as a true passion. I don't think prior to maybe 3 years ago, I don't think the way I feel about lung cancer today was something I anticipated. But having seen what my patients go through has really transformed the way I look at even my professional trajectory. Like, this is the path I'm going down on. I want to be someone that makes a dent or contributes to making a dent in the improvement of survivability and or prevention of lung cancer. Really, primarily prevention. If we could, smoking, don't smoke, quit smoking. That's my PSA. Quit smoking. This podcast is sponsored by Quit Smoking. But yeah, trying to improve those lives of people that are living with this.
Well, I mean, this state's a good place to start.
I know.
I'll tell you that. It's like, oh my God, we're ranked the top 10 in the worst things in terms of lung cancer, and then like treatment.
And top 5, really. Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
Like top 5 in incidence, bottom 5 in treatment and diagnosis and detection. It's like, oh my God.
And mortality.
Yeah.
In Louisiana, it's abysmal, really. It's abysmal.
Well, and I want to come back to your stigma piece about the smoking, because I really agree with that. And I've struggled to find like ways in smoking cessation clinics to like impact their marketing in a different way to make it less like scary and less like it's all your fault type of thing. But also, like, what's your take on all this research coming out on the incidence of lung cancer in non-smokers?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think the quality of our environment has also deteriorated over the years, right? Air pollution, all the things that we're exposed to, occupational hazards, all of that, and food. Our nutrition has not really been the most up to par in these here United States. I would make the case that the risk of lung cancer, or any cancer for that matter, probably drops dramatically in places where ultra-processed foods and accessibility to them is diminished. Not to mention exposure to cleaner air, cleaner water. We live in the richest country that has ever, existed, and you have places like Flint, Michigan, right? The richest country that's ever existed, and we have states like Louisiana that have abysmal cancer rates and abysmal lung cancer survivability, detection, all these things. Those two things should not be the same. And I think that's what's contributing most to it. It's a combination of things, but certainly what we eat, what we've been eating, our exposure to the things that are nutritious, quality of life is compromised, our environment is compromised. So there is 100% a rise in non-smokers, and I think all of those things are culprits. So there's no one bandage, there's no one fix for it. Unfortunately, there probably is, but we're not willing to make that kind of, I think policy is probably the best way to do it. Proper public health policy is primarily the way to do it, but I don't think...
we're not there yet.
We're not there. I don't even know if we're capable of it. I don't think, and people... The other thing too is about people that suffer with cancer. They're suffering from a societal perspective. They suffer in large numbers, but by themselves in small.
True.
Suffering isn't. It's not a mass shooting. It's not a. You know what I'm saying? Like if you think about it, really, the number one killer of everything of people in general is heart attacks. Right. So cardiovascular disease. But it's not one that is dramatic or anything like that. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
We can fix that with all of the things that we spoke about already. Fixing up, but it's not sensational. It's not, it's not social media word. It's not media word. It doesn't come up on public consciousness. So we can be better for sure.
Yeah.
We can be better for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we're there. And I don't think we'll ever be as a society, at least not in our lifetime, that has that kind of communal awareness. Not anymore. We're too big and also too selfish at the same time, which is a bizarre combination.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much information flying around all the time.
Yeah. Information, disinformation, and we change so quickly on a day-to-day basis. Society changes. Like the world we grew up in is many generations away. And I don't mean generations the way we think about, like, Gen Z, I'm talking, we're at 17 iterations of the iPhone. And the iPhone came out, 15 years ago or whatever it was. And iPods, and then cassette players, and CD players, and Nintendo, 64, Sega. I'm using things that, to me, and these were generations away. Like, we're not even the same. Facebook is how old? Facebook is 15 years old?
Oh my God, at least.
15 years old. But we're removed from MySpace. High five. Remember that?
I just think it's taken it's like we've hit the inflection point and it's just going. Yeah. It's been going at light speed for the last 15 years.
Yeah. 5 years from now, so many things that we commonly can all recognize will be so foreign.
Well, even with AI.
Yeah.
Like Jace, my coworker, is like, why don't you use AI? I'm like, well, can you help Grandma Annelise figure out how to use it? Like, I don't even know what to say. How do you use it? And then like getting into the exercise of using it once a day, I'm like, oh my God.
It's
the computing power of that thing is insane.
It is wild. I use it for a wide array of things. It's very helpful, especially as a physician. I use artificial intelligence for my notes, helping me organize my notes. I use it for brainstorming, for my non-medical things. organizing. Notebook LM. Have you heard of this?
No.
By Google.
Do I need it?
Oh my goodness. That's how I learn anything.
Really?
Now, I literally plug it, and it is actually amazing. I put in whatever sources I want for any particular subject, and it creates this a few options, either an interactive course that you can, or interactive entity that you can ask questions about said material, and it gives you answers. It can create a podcast of two people talking about it, like either 15 or 30 minutes.
I've never heard of this.
Oh my God, it will change your life. This is how I learn anything. Notebook LM.
Okay.
They need to pay.
Sponsorship required.
No, Google's gonna have to come pay us for this, but it is fantastic. It really is. So I think AI can make a lot of our lives really, really, really easy. But I think it does. We could get in trouble with that too. We could get in some serious trouble with artificial intelligence.
If you outsource like too much critical thinking to it,
oh yeah, you're done.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Well, now you're seeing like who was it? It was like Deloitte got fined for generating a report with AI with incorrect information because they fired the people that normally generate that report.
Yeah. See, it's funny you say that because I is it Harry Styles? No. There's a singer that has perfect pitch. I forget his name. He was on social media, and I saw one of his clips, and he was talking about how, because people use artificial intelligence to make music now. And so he was making the case that artificial intelligence could never replace human music because so much of what comes with the music that we love is human error that you don't even recognize until you actually hear it. So he gave some examples, and it was mind blowing. He was saying like, the start of the song wasn't on purpose because it was, I forget the name, which song it is exactly, but the guy sat on the key on the piano, and that's why that particular beat came on, or that particular sound or set of sounds came on. It's because the player sat on the piano by mistake. And so that became the iconic start to that song. Songs that kind of increase in pace just because people are getting more November. By, why am I blanking out? If you remember. September.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
That's going to be an embarrassing one. But Earth, Wind, and Fire, that song kind of picks up towards the end in terms of the cadence and the metronome, because they were getting more excited as they were singing the song. So like things like that. And it made me think about what you said earlier about why you like contemporary art is because you have to know the rules well enough for you to be able to break them in a way that it's still artistically inclined. And I don't think AI will know the rules, but I don't think AI will be able to break the rules in a way that still comes off of something beautiful. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
And until Elon Musk does have the robot that could possibly learn to dance, but do you think something like that would be able to do what you used to do?
Like maybe, but I wouldn't go see it.
No.
No, there's something so special about watching a person on stage. Like, there's one particular moment in Swan Lake. It's like before Odette's like main variation that everybody thinks of when they think of this role. But she's got like maybe a full minute in complete silence.
The play?
The ballet.
Okay.
So she's like making her entrance all around stage to place herself for her solo, but there's no music for that minute that she's setting herself up. So you're hearing her breathing, you're hearing her feet, you're like, depending on what kind of space you're in, you could probably hear her joints crack, like, I don't know, but and then you can hear everybody around you breathing, like waiting for her to do something. And you can hear the musicians in the pit waiting for their cue for her to find her position and then start. So like that is something that.
And that's part of it.
Yeah.
It's intentionally part of it.
Yeah.
And that
robots can't do
yeah,
that.
you can't replicate that. What's next for you?
Well, professionally, I'm staying in the lung cancer space.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to continue working with you just in a slightly different way. But outside of that, I feel like I'm trying to pursue multiple things right now in
I see you
effort
on
to
social.
yeah, I'm trying to balance my life out a little more. So I have like my professional pursuit. I've got I'm going to get back into fitness instruction.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start teaching 2 classes per week, heated mat. Going to be so fun. And yeah, like the content creation thing has become a really fun, like non-serious creative outlet.
What would you, let's go professionally, and then we'll talk personally, or the other side of creativity. Professionally, what do you hope to accomplish then? If you, like, let's say if you could see the future and things happened exactly how you wanted, and they haven't happened the way you wanted it, but you are, I think, the better for it. I think you would say that as well.
Mm-hmm.
If things fell into place exactly how you wanted it, where are you 10 years from now?
That's a tough question. I feel like 3 things. Top of mind, if I have really made it in 10 years, I have a really big garden. Okay. I've got a really big garden with a lot of like, intentional fruits that match this kind of climate and flora fauna. I have like a stem cutting garden where I can bring in fresh flowers all the time. Like I will measure my success based off of how big my garden is in 10 years.
I love that.
Outside of that, what may support that is staying aligned in lung cancer, but being a part of the right industry developments to push it forward. Like in terms of early detection, earlier diagnosis, treatment, like I want to be on the right side of innovation for that and make sure that my people in the community like you know about it. Because in the hands of people like you and like your reach in the community, like that just means the impact in the community is going to be tenfold. Like I myself, I can't treat patients. Like
Right.
I can't do that. So it's almost like you're James Bond and I'm Q, and I'm trying to like give you tools so that you can be the one that touches all of these people in the community to bring them true healing.
I'll be James Bond.
Yeah. And then like I want to have something like that really grounds me creatively. What that looks like yet, I'm not sure. I think like I've got dance, I've got video making, I've got some stuff brewing, but that's like a part of my life that I'd like to become a little bit more like structured and grounded and like maybe also a source of income.
Are you still dancing?
Yeah.
I guess I didn't even ask you that.
Yeah.
But now as a, what do you call it, a super hobby?
A hobby. Yep.
Yeah. A hobby.
Yeah.
Would you ever own your own dance studio or teach?
I could see myself like guesting, but I don't think I could teach dance full time. I don't own a studio and take care of the operations of that. I don't know. I have thought about like, well, what about like a fitness studio? But I also think that like it's pretty saturated right now. So
And it takes a lot.
yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
I did yoga, Bikram yoga, hot yoga, last
That's no
Sunday.
joke.
It was a 90-minute class. That was a couple days ago.
You're braver than me.
45 minutes in, I knew I made a mistake. I knew it.
I only go to 45-minute classes.
Oh
I
my
can't get.
goodness. And mind you, when you walk in there, I lied. 5-10 minutes in, I shouldn't have done this.
Like I've made a grave mistake.
But the instructor had said, and I should have known when she said this. She said, your only goal is to stay the entire 90 minutes. I was like, why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Red flag. Red flag.
Why would you say that? So anyway, it was brutal. I am not stretching any way that I met the standards of the people I saw in there. I was so impressed. There were a couple of people, probably twice, maybe 3 times my age, that were not 3 times, but that were doing things that I did not know any human body could do in a hot space, let alone in any regular space, let alone the space that hot yoga is. But I walked away and I was like, I need to do this again. I really felt amazed. I was what, 1,000 calories. I
Were
was
you
so
just
tired.
destroyed afterwards?
I was so tired,
Mm-hmm.
but it was very rewarding. Saying that in the sense of fitness, I think that's the other thing we're talking about: lack of fitness contributing to things like lung cancer, along with all the other things we spoke about. I
love that you're on a yoga journey right now. That's great.
We'll see. We'll see. Thank you. This was awesome.
Of course. Thank you for the conversation.
I know I tell everybody that I find has been inspiring, at least in my life and professionally. I always tell them that they should have their own podcast. I think you should have one too.
I think I should have one.
You should.
Will you be guest number 1 then?
You got yourself.
We'll shake on it.
You got yourself a deal.
Yeah.
Annelise, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. If this conversation resonated with you, there's a lot more where that came from. We've got stories from healthcare providers, healers, innovators of various industries, and people doing work that truly matters. Each one bringing something very different to the table. Feel free to check out another episode and subscribe if you don't want to miss what's next. And if you know someone who would enjoy or needs to hear this, please share it with them as well. This is The Last Zebra, and I'll see you on the next one.